You had mentioned the opportunity, I think it's a business that you're getting ready to start in Gambia. My question was specifically like and you also mentioned, I think some of the people were, I think you said not poor. I mean, did you say that? I just want to make sure.
Well, yeah.
Because I was wondering if it starts, how are you going to help them like have opportunity for housing and, you know, what kind of methods they use financially that they can afford what you're willing to develop in that, you know, in Gambia?
Well, I mean, that's all part of my research, because when I went there and I was learning about the different businesses, you have to do a business that's gonna make sense. So I can't like take the same, that's why I always say that people should go first and see the culture, because you can't just come up with something and say, this is what I wanna do, but it doesn't make business sense. So that's why when I would go through my travels, I would ask people questions to try to figure out how that business works.
And I just want to real quick repeat the question, just so everybody else heard what was said. Is your question that how is she able to make sure that the people in the community in which you want to develop your project and can actually
they can afford it as well. Yeah, so
live
she's using it as a business opportunity, but making certain that they have an opportunity to afford part of your business venture.
Either participating in the business or actually living and working in the business. Okay.
Well, I would say for my particular project, it's two parts to it, because it's a commercial building. And so basically I had to make sure that the numbers work. So of course you're gonna make sure that you have enough units that are gonna help support whatever the mortgage is. But it's all relative. So of course, the amount you pay for the building and the land or the construction, everything has to make sense. As far as the living structure upstairs, that's more so for the people who are operating the stores, because in that culture, most of the people that operate the stores, they live on the property. So that's pretty much for them or people who are coming in for vacation. But most of the people that will be helping with the day-to-day operations will be people that actually live in Gambia. But one thing I would want to add is that even though I say like a lot of the people are low income, a lot of the people have housing because they live amongst themselves like in different compounds. So you may live with like extended family, you have a place to live, you have food, but their need is more so opportunity and just be able to earn a living.
Yes, well, I think that's generalized the way it was conveyed, but I think you still didn't really mention how are they going to afford affordable housing and
well, I think I think her answer, I think what I heard, so I can get to the next question, just kind of make sure everybody's clear. Market research and whatever you're going to do, I think Kalia first mentioned to visit first to determine the needs of where you're going to try to do business. And I think that was the very first thing that you said.
Well, I think what she's trying to get on is the housing piece, but the housing piece is not for, it's for the tourist industry. Right, it's not for the people who are living there because most of them already have housing.
Okay.
Okay, so I thought it was, okay.
Okay, so let's go ahead and we have a question in front right here and then we'll go to you in the back, sir.
So my question has to do with what you would have done differently. So we talked about the obstacles that you had to overcome and the advices that you would give to anyone who would want to start a business or go into business in Africa. But in retrospection, what do you think that what would you have done differently if you could say that to your past self?
Well, I enjoyed my experience there, so I would say I probably wouldn't have changed anything. The only thing that I would have done is I would have brought a solar-powered electronic device to be able to charge my equipment. So that's the only thing that I probably would have changed.
So nothing in the terms of business?
No, because everything built upon each other. I mean, even the different places I lived, the people that I met, everything built upon each other. So if I take anything out, then that changed the entire experience. So I wouldn't have changed anything.
Anika?
I would say stay longer. If I had the opportunity to, I would definitely stay a lot longer. I'd probably still be there. So that's the only thing that I would do different.
I would say take more risk. Because I played it a lot. I played it safe. Do you know what I mean when we play it safe? I would take more risk. I would do it faster. And I would look for the opportunity to fail. Failure is such a huge thing, but the reverse aspect from failure is that you get to learn from whatever it is that you failed at. So I would take the risk, fail faster, fail bigger, and get that experience to move forward. And I have one in the back, and then you, ma'am, right here.
Yeah, so my question is for all of you guys to just basically state where you were in Africa, and then answer this question. What are the resources that you saw in abundance in the areas that you were in, and then what was a need that you found in the community that you were in? I know a lot of you were saying that there wasn't a lot of, there wasn't electricity and internet accessibility, so that's probably a need. What other type of need was there, in the places, in the regions that you were in?
Did everybody hear the question?
I mean, because I was in a rural part of Kenya, of course, it would probably be some of the technology and able to speed things up a little bit, and just some of the things as far as like water running regularly or it being hot, regularly. But I think need is kind of relative, so that was a little difficult to answer. But I would just say from that perspective, that was the biggest thing that I saw as a need.
I was in Gambia, and the surplus, I would say, is I saw a lot of secondhand clothing. And actually, I would say overall, like, to me, a lot of people were there running the same type of business. Because even as far as real estate, I mean, there were tons of companies that looked like they opened while I was even there. But I would say as far as a need, I would say electricity. Because even the people there, they would complain, they would say, you don't know, this electricity is bad. And, they would always tell me that. So I would say electricity was the biggest thing.
I was in Cape Town, South Africa, and I think relative is exactly what the word I would use depending on where in South Africa you're located, or in South Africa. There's parts of it that has more resources than parts of America. And then there are other parts that there's a really, I would say the lack was in water, where there's some parts that was in abundance, and healthcare in certain areas where it was a huge need for healthcare services. Medical facilities were not there. I have a client that I'm working with now that's actually building a medical facility where he lives. But those are two things I would say in some areas. But like again, I say it's definitely relative. So if you're wanting to look for opportunities in certain parts, you really would want to go and survey the market and really kind of get comfortable and familiar with where exactly specifically you're going to go to learn what those needs are. And ma'am?
Actually, one thing I would add are schools. Thank you. So there was an opportunity with having more schools.
Yeah. Ma'am, right here.
Okay, I guess mine is kind of maybe three-part. In regards to opening a business or starting a business, was there a lot of red tape in regards to government saying you could or what you could and could not do? Was the business for taking a product or a service from here for them, or was it a product from them coming back to us? And the third one was,
I guess we can start with the first one. So just to repeat the question.
okay, here, when we start opening the business, we've got a whole mound of paperwork and rules and regulations DC wants done before we can open. Did you find that the same there?
Okay, well, as far as myself, I haven't gotten to the actual process of filing it with the country. But just from talking to people there, especially in Gambia, Gambia and Senegal are different, but I would say that what I was told is basically, it's easier if you know somebody, because there it's easier to get things done. It's very easy to get things done if you know people. But if you don't know people, and that's why I would say, even if you're trying to do business there, like for me, I didn't just go on the venture by myself and say, hey, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that. Whatever I was doing when I had to relate to other people, I always had somebody else with me, and I would always explain to them what I was trying to accomplish, and then let them talk to the other people. And so I would say that made it a lot easier.
Anika?
My business is a little different, so, because I actually import from there.
Okay, so you taking their products and bringing them to us.
Yeah. And I think your part about government regulations, my company is doing business there in health and wellness. We're doing business in business division as well as we started in Nigeria in technology. And that was heavily regulated. And so we had a lot of pushback from the Nigerian government, which really kind of took us out of Nigeria doing business there. So what I would recommend is, I think Kalia really hit that nail on the head, is that you really want to have well-established relationships and business partnerships that you merge in the U.S. before you go. If you have family there or know someone who does, really want to strengthen and cultivate those relationships here in the U.S. so that if you're, for example, now that we're looking to take the healthcare and wellness into Africa, we already have a base there that's going to help kind of solidify the governmental side of it and handle that paperwork, because there's always red tape. There's always logistics, there's always going to be a challenge, and so you really want to kind of cultivate and build at your home base first and have yourself established before you go to venture to send